Expert witnesses are set to testify this week in the Rachel Morin murder trial, the high-profile case riveting the nation. The mother of 5 vanished after going for a jog back in 2023. Her body later discovered on a popular Maryland hiking trail. The defendant, an illegal immigrant with a prior record of violent crimes, police linking him to a home invasion across the country in Los Angeles. Shocking surveillance video showing him leaving that house. DNA evidence will be a key component of this trial. And News Nation's Caitlin Becker is live outside the courthouse in Bel Air, Maryland. Caitlin, we know the victim's daughters testified last Friday. What is happening in court today?
Nichole, it's a lot less emotional than it was on Friday, hearing the victim's 14-year-old daughter just breaking down in tears on the stand. Today has really been all about investigators and the process of what happened after Rachel Morin's body was found in a kind of drainage tunnel. To sort of paint you a picture, it's those big corrugated tunnels for drainage flow that go underneath of little bridges. She was found partially submerged in the water there. Now, the jury right now is on their lunch break, but before we broke for lunch, we were hearing from an investigator talking about the process of discovering her body, how the evidence was collected, how potential DNA swabs were collected, and the defense was trying to hammer them in on the time of year and the fact that it was so damp, both the humidity and that water there, suggesting that anything that could have been collected from her body may have been degraded. So getting into a bit of the nitty-gritty here, Nichole, when it comes to the science, as you mentioned, we're going to hear a lot from experts about that DNA evidence that was found allegedly on her body. But one thing, Nichole, we haven't actually heard of is the defendant. Neither Friday after opening statements nor at all today, other than the defendant sitting at the defense table with headphones on so he can hear the translation of the proceedings. It's as if he has nothing to do with this case. And I think that's very much by design by prosecutors who are really trying to lay out exactly what happened with the crime, how they discovered her body, and what they did, which ultimately connected them to the defendant. So I think we're going to hear a lot more about him in the coming days. He, of course, is from El Salvador, crossed over the border illegally just a few months before this heinous crime. And as you said, he's linked to other crimes. In El Salvador, he's wanted for murder, and as well, he is linked to this home invasion in Los Angeles. And that's ultimately how he was connected to this case. So we're going to see some of that unfold later, but those prior instances, those prior allegations will likely not factor into trial here, Nichole.
Okay, so those will not be factored in. We know DNA will be huge in this trial. What exactly do investigators have?
Well, that is how investigators say they found their suspect. DNA was found on Rachel Morin's body, places where she was injured. She was bludgeoned and strangled. So there was DNA found on her neck, on her breasts, and in some of her private parts there. Now, 2 of those, prosecutors say, were 100% match for the defendant, one of them down to a billionth or trillionth chance that it is the defendant here. So that hard forensic DNA evidence is exactly what every prosecutor wants and needs in order to secure a conviction here. So they seem like they're certainly on the path to that. However, we can hear the defense earlier today trying to poke holes in that and question whether or not some of that DNA was degraded by the humidity, by the water, and whether it was properly collected. At the moment, it does seem like it was, but we're going to get into that later. And of course, there's questions. If this defendant is convicted, what does deportation look like? And much like we saw in the Lake and Riley case, which mirrors this one in a lot of ways, deportation isn't going to be a factor because the charges are so significant that we're going to be seeing, if convicted, life in prison with no parole. So there would be no deportation there, Nichole.
Right. Caitlin Becker breaking it all down for us. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.